Welcome to HP Love Malt. My name is Ryan. I'm your host. Joining me today, for the first time ever, is Allie, our history enthusiast, our Bourbon Queen, our writer. You do a lot of things. You're a theater maker, practitioner.
Thinger.
So we are here today to review the Bunnahabhain 18-year-old. This is a personal favorite of mine. I shouldn't spoil it. Okay, we'll see how it is.
My first foray into whiskey was through bourbon because of my father, but I found Scotch later in life and it's become definitely the fave. I've got like a Pappy's taste on like an Old Crow budget.
You've been to the Oban distillery. It's got a very like coastal quality.
Yeah.
Which Bunnahabhain in itself, it is considered the Queen of Islay, or the Queen of the Hebrides, as some call it, as far as the distilleries go, because it is unpeated mostly until recently. So they were founded in 1881. Great year. Height of the Victorian era. Whiskey was no longer, illegal to make. It was a boom, at the time. It's the third youngest distiller in Islay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right behind Bruichladdich and Ardnahoe, which is very, very recent. It's a great name. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. I hope. A few years after they were founded, they were partnered with William Grant of William Grant and Sons fame and joined the Highland Distillery Group. So that really, as a small distillery, helped them survive some of the really difficult events of the upcoming century. The Great War, Prohibition, things that they probably wouldn't have made it through if they hadn't been partnered with them. Bunnahabhain translates to mouth of the river in Gaelic because it is situated at the mouth of the Margadale River up on the far northeast corner of Islay. And this far-flung, far-reaching area, even for Islay, is considered very remote. It also overlooks the Sound of Islay, which is a canal or a strait that separates Islay from its neighboring island, Jura. And so that's what the people building the distillery sought to use. They wanted to use that natural bay, that natural harbor to export their whiskey to the mainland easily. So for the first 100 years of this distillery, that was their main lifeblood, was boats. Like getting supplies in, getting whiskey out, and that's probably what their logo right here is, the helmsman.
Oh, yes.
So that's why they've got that right there. We're gonna go here, and then go, oh, there's the mainland. Let's go over here.
Swerve!
Up until actually 1993, that was the last time a boat docked at their shores, when they were finally like, okay, you know what, guys, I think our road systems are developed enough to where it's more efficient for us to just use cars, it's as much as we love this as our
as fun as boats are.
As fun as boats are. So as far as like the distillery characteristic, they actually did make pretty heavily peated spirit up until the 60s. And then they were under new management, and they were making unpeated spirit for blends. And so like Cutty Sark, Famous Grouse, Black Bottle, I believe, and like a few other blends and like independent bottlings. In 1979, that was their first actual age statement original bottling from the distillery. That was the Bunnahabhain 12.
Oh, okay.
And from that point on, there was no other release until 2006. So they came under hard times in the late 80s and then the late 90s, and they were very close to shutting down. They were running at partial capacity, and then Burn Stewart bought them and was like, oh, we got to clean this up. We're going to get them back up to speed. So he helped them revamp everything.
A comeback kid.
The comeback kid, yeah. And now they're like back on top. In 2006, that's when they debuted and launched their Bunnahabhain 18-year-old, as well as the 25-year-old. They've rebranded the 12-year-old, and they still maintained their reputation of having gentle, fruity, soft, unpeated whiskeys that take well to ex-bourbon and ex-sherry barrels.
Fruity, sherry, toffee, spicy. That's what I should put on my Tinder profile. Look at this fancy shit.
Whoa!
Whoa!
All right, this is the glorious Bunnahabhain 18-year-old. So there is some discrepancy over the yeah, right.
It smells so good.
Right.
Oh shit. Our 18-year-old is matured exclusively in ex-sherry casks. This malt is deliciously smooth, yet intriguingly complex fragrances of dried fruit, honey, and toffee burst into flavors of sherried nuts, rich oak, and salted caramel. Sounds tasty.
When Burn Stewart Distillers bought Bunnahabhain, they revamped everything. They got rid of chill filtering, no more added color. So this is natural color, what you're seeing right here, which is gorgeous. And bottled at 46.3%. So not the standard 40%. You get like a dark bronze kind of color from those sherry casks. Very beautiful. And then on the nose, let's just get into this.
Okay, yeah. You definitely smell like the fruitiness. Like you can smell like those notes and the honey. That sweetness is coming out of there. And then you get like the undernotes of like that spice. Like kind of like hitting at the end. I definitely can tell this is not going to be smoky at all. I just got like a burst of the sweetness.
Yeah, like vanilla.
Yeah, that
it's sort of,
it's like almost candy in a sense. Like it's very sweet. Oh, this is gonna be good.
It's a lot of dried dark fruits on it. So like,
oh, definitely. Like it's like
raisins,
plums, and like,
and then a bit of toffee. That spice people usually identify as like ginger spice. So it's got a tiny bit of like candied ginger spice.
It smells like autumn.
Oh yeah,
it smells like
exquisite.
October 12th. Like just like leaves. I want to be like sitting at like a little bar and it's like autumn but like raining.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's kind of like dim out and I'm just like sipping on a scotch or like
very like
reading like
dark, sultry.
Dostoevsky or something.
They also, I forgot to mention, they have the tallest pot stills on Islay.
That's sexy.
20 feet 10 inches.
Ooh.
And they usually they don't charge them so much. So they don't add a ton of distillate, which adds a lot of reflux.
Okay.
Which means even more purity, even more lightness of character. Oh yeah, one other fun fact. So this is a very remote distillery, but apparently way back in like 875, around that year.
Take another sip.
Go for it. Yes. This distillery was supposed to be the heart of a kingdom called the Kingdom of the Isles, which encapsulated parts of the west coast of Scotland and a lot of the islands. And at one point, the Lord of the Isles was considered the most powerful nobleman in the British Isles, save for only the British and Scottish king.
That's fascinating though, because especially like Scottish history, when you think about like Robert the Bruce and William Wallace and like everything the Brits did that was utterly atrocious up there. It's like I've heard of this because they kind of were a little bit more removed from that. Cheers, dears. Ooh. I with that. Wow. That's good. I like that like mixture of like fruity honey sweetness with that like winey spiciness.
Yeah, this has all that.
This has all that in it.
It has this really wonderful saline quality to it, which they have noted at the distillery, especially the warehouses facing the Sound of Islay, like directly facing the ocean, tend to have a bit more salinity in them. And then Bunnahabhain has a slight old worn leather funk to it.
Yeah,
that I love.
It's like when it hits your tongue, it just like feels really warm. This is not an aggressive scotch at all. This is very like, this is like the like warm hug from a long old friend.
Let's go for another sip.
Oh yes.
Cheers, one small.
Ooh.
That's like a bit of dark chocolate, and then the fruits come back, and you get this like nice, warm like toffee finish on the end, which is really wonderful.
This scotch is here to be like, I'm your bud, I'm your friend. I might turn you on a little bit, but
yes, seriously, it's like sexy.
It is.
This is a personal favorite of mine. I highly recommend this. The only hang up for some people, I think, will be the price. A few years ago, you could probably find it for around 90 to 100. Now it's closer to like 140, 145, 150. As far as 18-year-old single malts go, I think this is pretty reasonably priced. If you're not sure about it, I would recommend the 12-year-old. Trying the 12-year-old at a bar.
I also think Americans are really spoiled when it comes to prices of whiskeys because bourbons tend to be on like the cheaper side.
Much cheaper. You want something special that's like, you know, really worth
good
that.
Good costs good money. New personal favorite of mine.
New personal favorite of yours?
New personal oh boy. It just has everything, you know? Has everything I like. Has everything I really love about a scotch.
One nitpick, I wish the finish was a tiny bit longer, but...
Because it's almost so not aggressive that it disappears.
It disappears a bit quicker than I'd like.
Yeah.
But when it's there, and it's beautiful. and wonderful.
I'm just so excited to have discovered this. Like, thank you.
Of course,
Oh my
yes.
God.
Queen of Bourbon meets Queen of Islay. Allie,
Oh
thank
my
you so
God.
much for coming. Thank you so much.
Of course.
I just slapped my mic. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been absolutely delightful.
Cheers.
Cheers. This has been HP Love Malt. Love your malt and love yourselves. Oh, it's so good. Woo! Sure.
Jesus, Ryan.
This is a good phone case.
As a history hoe, a fact check is important.
It is, because then what if you're just spreading misinformation?
You don't want to do that because then I'll
No.
come for you.
Just-
Wise words were never said. Wiser words were never said.
Wise words were never said by me. Cool.
How you kicking? What? You can't teach taste, friends.